At my stepson's high-profile promotion ceremony, the room was filled with military brass, flashing cameras, and applause. He was being named Chief of Police, a crowning achievement for our family. I sat in the front row, bursting with pride, watching him stand at the podium. But just as the mayor prepared to pin the medal to his chest, my 8-year-old daughter leaned over, tugged at my sleeve, and whispered something that made my blood run entirely cold. She pointed directly at my mother-in-law in the VIP section and murmured, "Grandma stole something. It's in her purse right now." My heart stopped. It wasn't a piece of jewelry or a wallet. When I glanced at the old woman's lap, I realized exactly what she had taken, and the terrifying truth of what she had been doing to our family for a decade was finally exposed. My name is Genevieve. For years, I have walked on eggshells inside the proud high society Vance family. When I married Vance, I wasn't just accepting a husband. I was entering a den of lions. To them, I was always the outsider, a mere widow who didn't belong in their elevated social circle. Nobody made this clearer than my stepson, Gideon, and Vance's formidable, ice-cold mother, Eldora. Tonight, the atmosphere at the Grand Gala was absolutely suffocating. The room was packed with influential figures, all gathered to celebrate Gideon's historic rise as the youngest chief of police in the city's history. Flashbulbs blinded the room, and the air was thick with the scent of expensive perfume and unearned arrogance. I sat quietly near the back, holding the small hand of my 8-year-old daughter, Clarissa. We were only invited for appearances, props to show a united family front. But as the applause for Gideon reached a deafening roar, Clarissa leaned up. Her small voice cut through the noise, dropping a chilling whisper right into my ear. The roar of the crowd felt like a physical weight, but inside my chest, time completely stopped. I kept my face perfectly frozen, projecting the soft, compliant smile the Vance family always expected of me. I leaned down toward Clarissa, brushing a stray lock of hair behind her ear as if adjusting her dress. "Clarissa, sweetheart," I murmured, my voice a quiet anchor amidst the storm of applause. "Are you absolutely sure about what you saw?" She nodded rapidly, her fingers tightly bunching the fabric of her skirt. She explained that just 20 minutes before the ceremony started, she had slipped away to find the restroom. Confused by the Grand Hotel's sprawling corridors, she had accidentally wandered deep into the restricted security wing, eventually pushing open the heavy mahogany doors of Gideon's new executive police headquarters suite. The room was supposed to be empty. Instead, she saw Grandma Eldora standing behind the massive oak desk. Clarissa described it with innocent clarity. Eldora wasn't just looking around, she was frantic. Her manicured hands were tearing through a heavily locked side drawer that had been violently pried open. From the depths of that drawer, Eldora had pulled out two distinct items: a thick ledger bound in unmistakable red leather, and a sleek, vintage fountain pen. My heart stopped. That wasn't just any pen. It was a custom-engraved piece that had belonged to my late husband, an item that had mysteriously vanished from our home the exact week Gideon received his first major fast-track promotion. The grand applause dissolved into the soft, clinking chatter of a lavish cocktail reception. The ballroom was alive with jazz music, but the air felt ice-cold as I scanned the crowd for Eldora. I spotted her near the velvet ropes of the exclusive VIP section, surrounded by high-ranking city officials holding crystal flutes of champagne. Holding Clarissa's hand tightly, I navigated through the sea of silk and diamonds, stepping directly into her field of view. As the politicians drifted away, I stepped forward, offering a polite but deliberate nod. "A historic night for Gideon, Eldora," I said softly, keeping my tone perfectly conversational. Eldora didn't look at me. Her eyes remained fixed on the crowd. She delivered a sharp, patronizing smile that never reached her cold eyes. "It is a victory for the Vance legacy, Genevieve. A legacy you would do well to remember." She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a harsh, venomous whisper. "Remember your place here as a stepmother. You are a guest, nothing more. Keep that child of yours quiet and out of the restricted areas. This isn't a playground." As she spoke, she shifted her weight, and I noticed her knuckles were turning completely white. She was gripping her designer leather handbag with an intense, unnatural force, pulling it tightly against her ribs like a shield. My daughter's words echoed in my mind. Eldora wasn't just enjoying her golden boy's big day. The rigid lines around her mouth and her desperate grip on that bag revealed a deep, clawing panic. She was utterly terrified of something being found. A sudden, uncharacteristic surge of adrenaline washed over me, replacing my fear with absolute focus. Leaving Clarissa safely at the dessert table under the watchful eye of a trusted catering manager, I slipped away from the noise of the reception. I bypassed the security corridors, utilizing my late husband's old family access pass, and glided silently into Gideon's temporary executive office. The room smelled of fresh paint and expensive leather, but my eyes went straight to the desk. Just as Clarissa had described, the heavy bottom drawer had been forced open, its lock splintered and ruined. Eldora had been thorough, but she had been moving in a panic. I knelt down, running my fingers along the inside of the dark wood cavity. My hand caught on an unnatural seam at the very back. Tucked tightly behind the drawer lining was a false wall. I pulled at the tab, and out slipped a hidden duplicate flash drive alongside a yellowed, handwritten letter dated exactly 10 years ago. With trembling hands, I shone my phone light onto the page. As I read the elegant script, a sickening, monumental truth unraveled before my eyes. Gideon's entire meteoric, fast-track law enforcement career was a lie. The letter, written by a former city auditor, detailed a massive, systemic fraud scheme involving millions in misallocated department funds. An operation entirely orchestrated and financed by Eldora to clear the path for her golden boy. But the ultimate betrayal cut deeper. To ensure Gideon remained completely untouchable, Eldora had fabricated financial loops and planted falsified evidence that systematically framed my late husband for the decade-old crime. He hadn't died a reckless businessman. He had died a scapegoat for the Vance family's greed. The heavy mahogany door clicked shut behind me, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the quiet office. I looked up sharply to find the newly appointed chief of police, Gideon, standing in the doorway, his chest pressed flat against his crisp new dress uniform. Behind him stood Eldora, her sharp features twisted into a mask of pure fury. They had left the reception early to secure the remaining evidence, and I was caught red-handed. Instead of shrinking back like the timid widow they expected, I squeezed the flash drive tightly in my palm and stood my ground. Gideon stepped forward, his eyes narrowing as he took in the open desk drawer and the yellowed letter still resting in my other hand. He let out a cold, humorless laugh, playing the part of the arrogant legacy son to perfection. "You always were an intrusive outsider, Genevieve," he sneered, his voice dripping with authority. "But you've crossed a line tonight. I am the chief of police now. Do you honestly think anyone will take your word over mine?" He stepped closer, using his imposing height to intimidate me, threatening to use his newfound police powers, a fleet of high-priced corporate lawyers, and massive political influence to utterly ruin me. "If you breathe a single word of this fantasy to anyone," Gideon whispered, "I will ensure you lose everything. Your assets, your home, and your custody rights to Clarissa. I can make you disappear from her life legally by tomorrow morning." Eldora stepped up beside him, her face completely expressionless as she held out her manicured hand. "Give me the flash drive, Genevieve," she demanded, her voice ice-cold. "You are completely outmatched." A slow, deliberate smile broke across my face, entirely shattering their illusions. I didn't tremble. I didn't hand over the drive. Instead, I took a step back and looked directly into Gideon's panicked eyes. "You still think you're dealing with the helpless woman you isolated for a decade," I said, my voice entirely steady. "But you're wrong. I didn't just stumble into this tonight." I raised my phone, showing them a live encryption sequence running on the screen. "This flash drive? It's already finished." The moment I plugged it into my device, it began cloning every single document, every fraudulent transaction, and Eldora's signed letters directly to a secure, external cloud server. That server is managed by an independent federal attorney I retained weeks ago after noticing irregularities in my late husband's old files. "It is completely out of your local jurisdiction." Eldora's face went entirely pale, her hand dropping to her side. But I wasn't finished. I turned my gaze to her tightly clutched designer handbag. And as for that red leather ledger you just risked everything to steal from Gideon's drawer? Go ahead. Open it. It's a decoy trap. My attorney and I planted it there yesterday. It is filled with heavily flagged, falsified tracking numbers designed to trigger an automatic internal federal investigation the absolute second it left this secure police zone. By walking out of that room with it, Eldora, you just personally activated the trap. Before the clock struck midnight, the glittering Vance dynasty collapsed into a pile of ash. Thanks to the automatic federal alert triggered by Eldora's theft, a special investigation team arrived at the hotel before the cocktail reception even concluded. Gideon's shiny new promotion was officially revoked by the Oversight Board before he could even issue his first command as Chief of Police. To avoid a highly publicized federal trial that would completely destroy what was left of their name, Eldora was forced into an immediate, deeply disgraced retirement, stripped of all her board seats and social standing. Clarissa and I walked out of that grand hotel entirely free from the toxic family dynamics that had suffocated us for years. With the federal investigation clearing my late husband's name, his true, heavily protected estate was finally released from probate, leaving us independently wealthy and legally untouchable. Now, I'm truly curious about all of you who have listened to my story until the very end. What would you have done if your own child had whispered such a dangerous secret to you in public? Comment your city and your thoughts below so I can see how far my story has reached.